Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to do something really exciting. We are unpacking Patrick Bet-David's book, Doing the Impossible, and distilling his entire framework for completely recreating your life. We're going to map out exactly how you can shift your mindset, elevate your work ethic, and build the kind of bulletproof identity that turns massive, seemingly impossible dreams into actual reality. To kick things off, let's look at this absolutely fantastic thought from Muhammad Ali. It instantly sets the tone for our journey today. You know, we often look at the incredible achievements of the past century, things like the internet or human flight, and we marvel at how they were once considered entirely impossible. Ali's quote is a great reminder that greatness can literally be born from the most unexpected places. It really makes you think, if the impossible has repeatedly become reality throughout history, why do we assume our own big dreams are somehow out of reach?
Which brings us to a huge fundamental question. Do you dare? To dare means actually having the courage to step out of your comfort zone and risk failure. And let's be honest, most people just let the fear of the unknown paralyze them. But to achieve greatness, you have to accept that facing those fears will probably be the best decision you ever make.
So, here is our blueprint for today. We're going to cover daring to do the impossible, recreating your identity, discovering your ultimate cause, embracing the struggle, silencing your critics, and finally, making that final leap. All right, starting right off with step one, daring to do the impossible. And moving straight into step two, recreating your identity from the inside out. Here is a crucial concept. Your future worth is fundamentally tied to your internal identity, not your external circumstances. Take John, for example. He earned a massive spike in income during an economic boom, making 200 grand, but he still had what we'd call a $30,000 internal identity. So what did he do? He faked success, bought luxury items he couldn't afford, and ultimately spiraled into debt when the market turned. Now contrast that with Melissa. She completely lost her income in a recession, dropping all the way down to $30,000. But because she actually possessed the true mindset and identity of a $200,000 earner, she quickly rebounded and rebuilt her wealth. The takeaway here? You have to build and earn the identity of a successful person before you can ever sustain the rewards. Now, if you're wondering why identity is so incredibly hard to change, just take a look at a typical 168-hour week. It is a really harsh reality check. Look at that tiny sliver dedicated to personal growth. Just 1 hour. You just cannot expect 1 hour of reading or learning to compete with the other 167 hours of your week. If you want to transform your identity, personal growth absolutely has to become a massive priority. And part of that growth involves a pretty brutal audit of your associations. You've probably heard the old adage, you will inevitably earn the average income of the 5 people you spend the most time with. It's so true. You really need to list out your top 5 friends and honestly evaluate, are they a positive or a negative influence on your massive goals? You also have to build what the author cleverly calls a credibility FICO score, because accomplishing the impossible requires deep trust. And how do you get that? It starts with small promises, arriving on time, learning to say no so you don't overcommit, and ultimately making your word your absolute bond. You are proving that if you say something is going to get done, it absolutely gets done. No exceptions. Okay, moving to section 3, discovering your ultimate cause. You've got to find your ultimate why. Listen, the why is literally always infinitely stronger than the how. Take the story of an athlete named Big Mike. Now, Mike was a talented but super lazy football player. He was totally content to just ride the bench. But when his blind best friend tragically passed away, Big Mike asked to start the next game, and he played with absolute fire, eventually scoring the winning touchdown. Why the sudden shift? Because he wanted to honor his friend looking down from heaven. As humans, we are inherently somewhat lazy, until something truly catches our heart. You have to find that deep why. And once you find that cause, you must relentlessly push the envelope. Just think about Steve Jobs. He wasn't content with just creating the first personal computer, right? He pushed the envelope to revolutionize music with the iPod, then communication with the iPhone, and then portable computing with the iPad. He continually evolved this massive vision over decades. A true massive vision doesn't just end when you hit a goal, it evolves as you grow. Which brings us to part 4, embrace the struggle. It's time to work hard and smart.
Defining your mission is exhilarating, for sure, but executing it requires gritty resilience. There's just no substitute for hard work. Over the last century, our society has drastically increased its leisure time. We've traded immense amounts of discretionary time for television, social media, and just general entertainment. But achieving the impossible, that simply does not happen on an 8-hour workday followed by 4 hours of TV. We need to look back at the work ethic of the 1880s for a reality check.
But working hard also means working smart and staying intensely curious. Even when you reach the absolute top, you must stay a student. Look at Kobe Bryant. Even after winning multiple NBA championships, Kobe actually sought out legendary player Hakeem Olajuwon just to master new footwork. He evolved his abilities by keeping his curiosity alive. Curiosity is the wick in the candle of learning, and you can never, ever let it burn out.
All right, Section 5. Silence your critics. Drown out the doubt.
As you dare to achieve massive things, you are inevitably going to face detractors. The bigger your goal, the more people are going to tell you it's unrealistic. But I love this metaphor. Think of critics like crickets. They make a ton of noise, but the best way to handle them is to just walk right past them and let your success speak for itself. You can't avoid critics if you're doing anything worthwhile, but you can use their doubt as fuel. Let "it can't be done" sound to you exactly like "prove me wrong." And you can actually drown out that criticism with powerful imagination. There's this incredible story about Notre Dame basketball coach Digger Phelps. His team was facing a legendary UCLA squad that was riding an 88-game winning streak. So what did Phelps do? He had his team physically practice celebrating their victory every single day after practice. They imagined the impossible win so vividly and celebrated it in advance so intensely that by the time the game actually arrived, defeat was totally unacceptable to them. And guess what? They won. They ended the 88-game streak because they envisioned it first. Finally, Section 6. Make the final leap. Taking bold action. Everything we've covered today prepares you for making that massive leap into the unknown. But your vision, your upgraded identity, your relentless work ethic, it all means absolutely nothing without the bold courage to act on them. Courage is the core requirement. It's the catalyst that activates all your preparation.
So, the final steps to greatness demand action. You must let your current pain and frustration drive your change. When you're bored or feeling tired, it's very often just because you lack a massive challenge, so go seek them out to charge your batteries. And finally, have heart. Remember, courage is a muscle. The more you put yourself in uncomfortable situations, whether that's starting a business, speaking up, or moving to a new city, the stronger that courage muscle becomes.
So, I'm going to leave you with this one final provocative thought. Will you remain stuck in the status quo, or will you use this blueprint to finally do the impossible? Look, we are not guaranteed tomorrow. The pain of discipline and taking a risk is temporary, but the heavy burden of wondering what you could have been, that lasts a lifetime. Choose your path, embrace the challenge, and go make history.
allappswin.com